Again, History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation of Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Friday, January 22nd, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. Well, it's another very busy news day, and had a late breaking news story also from the New York Times that we'll talk about tonight that will probably play a part in the upcoming impeachment trial in the U.S. Senate of one Donald Trump. So hope everybody's doing well today. We know the legendary hammering Hank Aaron passed away today at age 86. Passed away at his home, and he passed away peacefully. Civil rights activist, legendary baseball player who hit 755 home runs, born in poverty. Hank Aaron passed away today. So we'll talk some about Hank Aaron. And also, I was going to be on Roland Martin Unfiltered today, but they canceled the panel for today to deal with the passing of Hank Aaron. So I should be back on this coming Friday. So in addition to that, we see that articles of impeachment are going to be transmitted on Monday. And it said that the impeachment trial is going to start February 8th. Now, some people thought that a delay in the impeachment trial would help Trump because it would, the memories of some of the senators who were in the Capitol building when the insurrection took place. Some of their memories may start to fade or something like that. Really, I don't think they're going to fade, but this is what some prognosticators were saying. Well, that was until the story broke today from the New York Times. And New York Times has a story dealing with how Donald Trump and the Justice Department lawyer was said to have plotted to oust acting Attorney General. Okay, we're going to talk about this because this is another crazy story here, another twist that is definitely going to play a part in the impeachment trial. And this ties into Georgia also. This ties into Georgia once again, trying to overturn the election results of African-American voters when it comes to Georgia. New York Times and also Washington Post has a story as well backing up this story from the New York Times. But the New York Times is reporting Trump and Justice Department lawyers said to have plotted to oust acting Attorney General, trying to find another avenue to push his baseless election claims. Donald Trump considered installing a loyalist and had the men make their case to him. The Justice Department's top leaders listened in stunned silence this month. One of their peers, they were told, had devised a plan with Donald Trump, then president, to oust Jeffrey A. Rosen as acting Attorney General and wield the department's power to force Georgia state lawmakers to overturn its presidential election results. To force Georgia state lawmakers to overturn its presidential election results. The unassuming lawyer who worked on the plan, whose name is Jeffrey Clark, had been devising ways to cast doubt on the election results and to bolster Donald Trump's continuing legal battles and the pressure on Georgia politicians because Jeffrey Rosen had refused the president's entreaties to carry out those plans. Donald Trump was about to decide whether to fire Jeffrey Rosen and replace him with Jeffrey Clark. Okay, so we'll talk about this as well. This is a huge story. And, I don't know if they're going to do an additional article of impeachment, but I think this has definitely come up at the impeachment trial, because this, once again, this all falls into this plan tied to the January 6th insurrection. All right, so we'll talk about that. And some of these topics, I was going to originally talk about, we're going to have to deal with on our Sunday show. Just too much to cover on today's show. Now, there was I posted an article from, also we'll deal with Joe Biden signed 2 additional executive orders today. And this deals with fighting coronavirus and economic relief and worker protections. Okay. So we'll talk about that. Now, there was an article that I posted from Equal Justice Initiative, EJI.org, Equal Justice Initiative, dealing with Hiram Rhodes Revels. Hiram Rhodes Revels. And Hiram Rhodes Revels was the first African-American U.S. senator, okay? First African-American U.S. senator. And this was in 1870, okay? And he was a U.S. senator from Mississippi. And he almost was not placed. They tried to block his seat. Democrats at the time in the Senate tried to block his seat. And they claimed that basically he was not a U.S. citizen. The Constitution requires senators to hold citizenship for at least 9 years, and they argued that Hiram Rhodes Revels had only recently become a citizen with the 1866 Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment. Okay. So we'll talk some about Hiram Rhodes Revels today, and probably talk about him some more on our Sunday show when we have 2 hours. There was a piece from the Equal Justice Initiative. White officials attempt to nullify election of first Black senator. White officials attempt to nullify election of first Black senator. And this deals with Hiram Rhodes Revels. And I've talked about him a number of times in 2020 in my presentations. There's a good article from history.com, official website of the History Channel, history.com. The first Black man elected to Congress was nearly blocked from taking his seat. The first Black man elected to Congress was nearly blocked from taking his seat. Okay, and this deals with Hiram Rhodes Revels. Okay, so we'll talk about that, and we'll do some birthday acknowledgments as well. Today is the birth date of one of the greatest singers, one of the greatest entertainers in history, the one and only Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke, born January 22nd, 1931. And I learned about Sam Cooke when I was a kid, and my parents would play Sam Cooke records. And I became a big Sam Cooke fan. You know, She Was Only 16, Chain Gang, Twisting the Night Away, Frankie and Johnny. I remember Sam, I remember listening to Sam Cooke records when I was a little kid, and I became a Sam Cooke fan, and I bought Sam Cooke CDs. Then I learned about the relationship between, Sam Cooke and Muhammad Ali, things like this. And then in the movie directed by Regina King, One Night in Miami, you have Sam Cooke and you have Muhammad Ali. I mean, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, and Malcolm X and Jim Brown portrayed in that film also. So we'll talk some about Sam Cooke also. All right, now on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, to sign up for our email newsletter there as well. Okay. If you'd like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. So that definitely helps out a lot, being that we're here 6 days a week instead of 1 day a week. For 4 years, we were only on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on 9:10 a.m. to Superstation WFDF. And then now we're on 6 nights a week, 6 days a week. Okay. All right. So we'll be back in just a minute here. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. to Superstation WFDF. We'll be back in just a minute. Stand by, everybody. We're on commercial break. All right, stand by, everybody. All right, we're on commercial break. How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. to Superstation WFDF. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Friday, January 22nd, 2021. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600. All right. We're going to go to this clip here in just a minute, dealing with Hank Aaron, who passed away today. NBCnews.com has a good article dealing with Hank Aaron. Also, New York Times has a good piece on Hank Aaron as well. So Hank Aaron, whose prodigious swing took him from a poverty-stricken section of Mobile, Alabama, to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, has passed away. His longtime team, the Atlanta Braves, announced on Friday. He was 86 years old. Now, Hank Aaron played 21 of his 23 seasons for the Milwaukee and Atlanta Braves. And Braves chairman Terry McGuirk said he was heartbroken by the death of baseball's one-time home run king. Terry McGuirk said, "We are absolutely devastated by the passing of our beloved Hank. He was a beacon for our organization. First as a player, then with player development, and always with our community," Terry McGuirk said Friday in a statement. Now, we're going to go to this clip here in just a minute. So just let me know when we have it queued up, Kevin. Quote, his incredible talent and resolve helped him achieve the highest accomplishments, yet he never lost his humble nature. He never lost his humble nature. Henry Louis Aaron was his birth name. Henry Louis Aaron wasn't just an icon, but one across Major League Baseball and around the world. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms called Hank Aaron's passing a considerable loss. A considerable loss for the entire city. Okay, so let's see. So Hank Aaron blasted 755 home runs in his amazing career that also contributed to the era's civil rights advances. President Joe Biden said today, quote, his incredible talent and resolve helped him achieve the highest accomplishments, yet he never lost his humble nature. Henry Louis Aaron was just our icon, but one across Major League Baseball and around the world. Now, quote, what I deeply admired and respected about him is that each time he rounded those bases, an astonishing 755 trips home, he melted away more and more of the ice of bigotry to show that we can be better as a people and as a nation, President Joe Biden said in a statement on Friday. Quote, Henry Aaron became, in the words of President Jimmy Carter, the first Black man for whom white fans in the South cheered. The first Black man for whom white fans in the South cheered. It was not only his bat, but his character that won over those hearts and minds. For generations of athletes and civil rights advocates who followed, he showed how to be proud and be unafraid to stand up for what is right and just, end quote. Now, Hank Aaron had been seen in public as recently as January 5th, when the Atlanta resident came to Morehouse School of Medicine to get his COVID-19 vaccine. He and his vaccination shot. He and former UN Ambassador Andrew Young got their shots in front of cameras and urged all Americans to seek vaccination. Former President Barack Obama said in a statement that Hank Aaron, quote, never missed an opportunity to lead, including earlier this month when Hank and Billy joined civil rights leaders and got COVID vaccines, end quote. Whenever Michelle and I spent time with Hank and his wife, Billy, we were struck by their kindness, generosity, and grace, and were reminded that we stood on the shoulders of a previous generation of trailblazers, end quote, President Barack Obama said. Now, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp praised Hank Aaron for, quote, his important work to advance civil rights and create a more equal, just society. Now, it's interesting, Brian Kemp would talk about civil rights, right, when he was purging African Americans from voter rolls and stole a gubernatorial election from Stacey Abrams. Okay, do we have a clip queued up? All right. Okay. Now, and former President Jimmy Carter, a native of Plains, Georgia, on Friday called Hank Aaron a, quote, breaker of records and racial barriers, end quote, a breaker of records and racial barriers. Rosalind and I are saddened by the passing of our dear friend, Henry Aaron, the nation's 39th president, said Jimmy Carter in a statement. One of the greatest baseball players of all time. He has been a personal hero to us. Now, Hank Aaron wrapped up his 23-year career in the major leagues in 1976 with a raft of records that still stand today, including 2,297 runs batted in, RBIs, runs batted in, 2,297, 6,856 total bases, and 25 All-Star game appearances. All right. Now I remember as a kid, I think I had a Hank Aaron baseball card, probably from like 75, something like that, maybe 76, somewhere around there. It wasn't I don't think there's any cards worth any money. I used to collect Topps baseball cards and Topps football cards when I was a kid. I think I still have some somewhere. And I remember there was if I remember correctly, it was a Boys and Girls Club commercial. Okay. And it's from like the 1970s. And it was Hank Aaron. And it was Hank Aaron in the commercial talking about growing up to hit 755 home runs. So that's like really, I think that's really how I first learned about Hank Aaron hitting 755 home runs from that commercial. Okay. All right, I want to go to this clip here. This is from NBC News. Craig Melvin on NBC News interviewed Hank Aaron last year. Okay, and they talked about his life, and they talked about he got death threats leading up to. So Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's home run record. Babe Ruth had 714 home runs, and Hank Aaron got death threats as he was getting closer to breaking Babe Ruth's record. Okay, because the home run record was basically the most coveted record in all of baseball, and it was held by a white man. Okay, let's go to this clip.
We have some breaking news in the world of sports. Legendary outfielder Hank Aaron has died. He was 86. Hammerin' Hank slipped away peacefully in his sleep. Hank Aaron was an icon. A career that spanned 23 years. He famously broke Babe Ruth's record of 714 home runs back in 1974. It was a record that he held for more than 30 years. He retired in 1976 with a career total of 755 home runs. Hank Aaron made his major league debut at the age of 20, and he started his career, like so many others back then, in the Negro Leagues. I had the great honor of interviewing Hank Aaron for the Today Show in early 2020. Hank Aaron is widely considered one of the greatest to ever play the game. But before he donned that famous Braves uniform, he took the field for the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro League, leaving his Alabama home in the early 50s.
I remember so well my first year that I left Mobile, Alabama. One little coat, $2.50 in my pocket. And my mother told me that was all she had to give me, and be very careful with it.
What was it like playing for the Indianapolis Clowns?
To play in that league and to play with the ball players that I played with gave me an opportunity to do some things that I wanted to do.
Is it true that there was perhaps more talent in the Negro Leagues back then than there was in Major League Baseball?
I would not doubt it one bit. There was so much talent.
Though thousands of fans came to their games, Negro League players were not treated equally. Roadside restaurants banned blacks in their dining rooms. Gas stations closed restrooms, and white hotels shut their doors. In 1947, Jackie Robinson broke baseball's color barrier. Was there any pressure on guys like you to stay in the Negro League?
Yes, it was. Pressure from the players that you played with was telling you that you can't make it. You'd never make it.
Hank Aaron did make it, debuting for the Milwaukee Braves in 1954. Though he made 25 All-Star teams, Aaron continually faced obstacles white players did not, including death threats while approaching Babe Ruth's career home run record. I was surprised to read in what should have been the most exciting period of your life, you're chasing Babe Ruth's record. It wasn't.
It was not.
Why not?
I couldn't go out of the ballpark without an escort. I had to stay in another hotel, or rather than staying in a hotel with my teammates. It was the toughest moment of my life.
Here's the pitch. And then it happened.
And then it happened.
There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
Runs batted in, 2,297. You're first. Extra base hits, 1,477. You're first. Years with 30 or more home runs, 15. Pretty good argument could be made that you're the greatest that's ever played baseball. What do you think?
Well, I'm with you.
At 86 years old, Aaron still serves as a senior vice president of the Atlanta Braves, more concerned with the future of the game than his own legacy. You think it's still America's favorite pastime?
I think it's one of them. I believe football has caught up in some instance. I believe baseball is still number one.
How does Hank Aaron want to be remembered?
I've been fortunate and lucky in some ways. I would just like to be remembered as someone that said God gave him the talent to play this game, and he did everything humanly possible to make the game the way it's supposed to be played.
Okay.
The last few moments, it would seem as if the general.
Yeah, keep it playing. I didn't know that was direct. Keep going, Kevin. Thanks.
No, that was it. That was
that was it. Okay. I thought that was the end of it. All right. So that was Craig Melvin, NBC and MSNBC's Craig Melvin, speaking with the great Hank Aaron. That was an interview for the Today Show in early 2020. Okay. All right. So I want to go back to this article here from NBC News briefly, and then we're going to transition because we this time goes by quickly. I want to also get to this story here dealing with Trump and the Justice Department. Very important story as well. Okay, so also 313-778-7600 is the call-in number. If you have a question or comment, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right, let's go back to this article here from NBC News. Okay, so people are pouring out, statements are coming out in praise of Hank Aaron. Now, the former Milwaukee Atlanta Braves great is best known for a record that no longer stands, hitting his way to the all-time home run record previously held by Babe Ruth and later eclipsed by Barry Bonds. Hank Aaron showed little bitterness that the power mark was surpassed in a modern era that has emphasized long balls and has been helped along by better training methods and even performance-enhancing drugs. When Barry Bonds hit his 756 home run in San Francisco in 2007, I remember when Barry Bonds broke Hank Aaron's record, the Giants played a videotaped congratulatory message from Hank Aaron himself. Quote, "It's kind of hard for me to digest and come to realize that Barry cheated in the home runs," the soft-spoken Hank Aaron told NBC's Today Show in 2020. Though he still calls Barry Bonds the home run king of baseball and doesn't believe other great players of the steroid era should be banned from Cooperstown, does not believe other great players of the steroid era should be banned from Cooperstown. Now, Babe Ruth's record of 714 career home runs once seemed insurmountable, but Hank Aaron surpassed the ex-Yankee with his number 715 in front of his home crowd in Atlanta on April 8th, 1974. April 8th, 1974. Not everyone, however, was cheering as hard as Atlanta Braves fans. Hank Aaron said on the Dan Patrick Show that he was deluged with racist hate mail and death threats as an African-American player threatening the mark of one of the most popular white players to ever play the game. He said he kept all of the letters to remind his grandchildren how pervasive racism is in this country, in the United States. He said, quote, in all of the interviews that the police and the detectives in all of the interviews that the police and the detectives and whoever was in charge did, they said all of these were probably just crank letters, but there may be one in there from someone that meant something, end quote, Hank Aaron said in the October 2016 interview. Now, Negro Leagues Baseball Museum President Bob Kendrick on Friday reminded fans that Hank Aaron broke with the Milwaukee Braves in 1954, just 7 years after Jackie Robinson shattered the color line with the Brooklyn Dodgers. So Hank Aaron faced the same brutal racism, other African American players of the era experienced, especially as the slugger approached Babe Ruth's home run record. Quote, this black man in the Deep South was about to break a record that no one really thought could ever be broken, and that was not wearing well on a lot of white people, Kendrick told Major League Baseball Network shortly after getting word of Hank Aaron's passing. He went on to say, and yet he was able to withstand, endure, and still perform at an exceptional level, end quote. Now, Bob Kendrick went on to say he's as much of a civil rights icon as anyone. He's as much of a civil rights icon as anyone. Now, Henry Louis Aaron was born on February 5th, 1934. The future outfielder was the third of 8 children of a tavern owner. Given his athletic prowess, sports seemed to be a ticket out of his poor African-American neighborhood in Mobile, Alabama. As he starred in baseball and football, first for segregated Central High School and later for a private school called the Josephine Allen Institute. Hank Aaron would quit before he graduated high school, having inked a contract as an 18-year-old with the Negro Baseball League's Indianapolis Clowns, the Indianapolis Clowns in the Negro Leagues. Hank Aaron played only part of the 1952 season, but served enough time to lead his team to the championship. After Jackie Robinson broke Major League Baseball's color barrier in 1947, a player of Hank Aaron's caliber wasn't going to escape notice for long. He signed a $10,000 contract with the Milwaukee Braves, with whom he made his big league debut 2 years later. In 1955, Hank Aaron hit 328 with 27 home runs and 106 RBIs in his first full season, and won his first batting title a year later. Okay, 328 was his batting average. His sole National League MVP award came in 1957, courtesy of a stat line that included a batting average of 322, 44 home runs, and 132 RBIs, runs batted in. That magical season would end with the only World Series title of Hank Aaron's prestigious career, a 7-game upset of the seemingly indomitable New York Yankees. But what made Hank Aaron arguably the greatest player in baseball history was a combination of longevity and consistency. Longevity and consistency. He is one of only 2 players, along with Alex Rodriguez, who hit 30 home runs in 15 seasons. The outfielder Hank Aaron played most of his career with the Atlanta Braves, 12 seasons at Milwaukee, then Atlanta. Milwaukee Braves 12 seasons and 9 seasons Atlanta Braves after the team moved to Atlanta, but was traded back to Milwaukee to the expansion team, the Milwaukee Brewers, in 1975. He spent his final 2 seasons as a designated hitter for the American League squad. Hank Aaron retired at the end of the 1976 season with 755 home runs and a career batting average of 305. He was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1980. 82. Okay. And I remember reading about Hank Aaron in the pages of Black Enterprise magazine because he owned a Mercedes-Benz dealership. Okay. And I'm not sure if he still owns it, but I know for years he owned a Mercedes-Benz dealership. And let's see, autonews.com has a write-up about Hank Aaron also. They have a write-up about him, and there's some write-ups dealing with, let's see, Black Enterprise. Let's see, a brand sells all but one dealership. Okay, yeah, but I know for years he was he owned a Mercedes-Benz dealership as well. He was a Mercedes-Benz dealer also. Okay, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. So rest in peace, Hank Aaron. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. We'll talk some more about Hank Aaron on our Sunday night show because we have 2 hours on our Sunday night show. But, you know, that hit everybody by surprise today to lose legendary Hank Aaron. Okay. So I want to switch gears here. How's everybody doing? Everybody watching on our social media platforms, share this broadcast. Okay, we're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network on Facebook, and then also on YouTube. Michael Imhotep on YouTube, IMHOTEP. All right, I want to go to this next story here. And I'm sending you these other clips here, Kevin. So look out for these here. All right, and I want to go to clip 3 when you get those from MSNBC dealing with New York Times. Okay, so New York Times has this big story dealing with Donald Trump and the Justice Department, and Washington Post has reporting on this also. Trump and Justice Department lawyers said to have plotted to oust acting attorney general. This is a huge story. This once again goes. Now we just found out about this. This once again goes to the lengths to which Donald Trump was trying to overturn the will of the people, to overturn votes in Georgia. Okay, and there's a lot of African Americans in Georgia who voted for Joe Biden, who came out and voted for Joe Biden and get rid of Trump. Trying to find another avenue to push his baseless election claims, Donald Trump considered installing a loyalist and had the men make their cases to him. Now, the Justice Department's, this is reporting from Katie Benner for the New York Times. The Justice Department's top leaders listened in stunned silence this month. One of their peers, they were told, had devised a plan with Donald Trump to oust Jeffrey A. Rosen as acting attorney general and wield the department's power to force Georgia state lawmakers to overturn its presidential election results. Okay, targeting Georgia once again to overturn Georgia's election results. Now, remember, on the 1 hour and 2 minute call that Trump had with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger for Georgia, Donald Trump had some very negative things to say about Stacey Abrams and called her a crook. Okay, called her corrupt. Okay, imagine Trump. If that's not the pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what is. Okay, he's calling Stacey Abrams corrupt. Donald Trump, the unassuming lawyer who worked on the plan, whose name is Jeffrey Clark, had been devising ways to cast doubt on the election results and to bolster Donald Trump's continuing legal battles and the pressure on Georgia politicians. Now, all these cases, basically all these cases keep getting thrown out. Okay, 60, a little more than 60 cases. It's only one that he won. That was in Philadelphia. That was Pennsylvania, I should say. That was in Pennsylvania, dealing with how close poll watchers could be to poll workers counting votes. Because Jeffrey A. Rosen had refused the president's entreaties to carry out those plans, Donald Trump was about to decide whether to fire Jeffrey Rosen and replace him with Mr. Clark. Okay, Jeffrey Clark. All right. Jeffrey A. Rosen was the acting attorney general. Now, the department officials convened on a conference call, then asked each other, what will you do if Jeffrey A. Rosen is dismissed? The answer was unanimous. They would resign. So a lot of times when you have something corrupt like this happening, the other attorneys in the Department of Justice, they'll resign out of protest. Their informal pact ultimately helped persuade Donald Trump to keep Jeffrey A. Rosen in place as acting attorney general, calculating that a furor over mass resignations at the top of the Justice Department would eclipse any attention on Trump's baseless accusations of voter fraud. Donald Trump's decision came only after Jeffrey A. Rosen and Jeffrey Clark made their competing cases to him in a bizarre White House meeting that two officials compared with an episode of Donald Trump's reality show, The Apprentice, albeit one that could prompt a constitutional crisis. Now, this previously unknown chapter, this is the first we've heard about this. This previously unknown chapter was the culmination of Trump's long-running effort to batter the Justice Department into advancing his personal agenda. He also pressed acting Attorney General Jeffrey A. Rosen to appoint special counsels, including one who would look into Dominion voting systems, a maker of election equipment that Trump's allies had falsely said was working with Venezuela to flip votes for Trump, from Trump to Joe Biden. Just baseless conspiracy theory nonsense. We saw that idiot Sidney Powell, the idiot attorney for the Trump campaign, sometimes for the Trump campaign, sometimes not. Okay, sometimes you. All right, thanks, Kevin. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't, I guess, right? That she got hit with a $1.3 billion lawsuit, all right, behind putting out lies, making false claims about Dominion voting systems. I want to go to this clip here. This is from All In with Chris Hayes, January 2nd, 2021. New York Times, Trump and DOJ lawyer reportedly plotted to oust acting attorney general. Let's go to this clip.
With all that we know about Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the election, there are still stories to be told about his behavior that had the ability to shock, to make you pick your jaw off the floor. Katie Benner of the New York Times has this unbelievable scoop tonight, published just 20 minutes ago. The Justice Department's top leaders listened in stunned silence this month. One of their peers, they were told, had devised a plan with President Donald J. Trump to oust Jeffrey A. Rosen as the acting attorney general and wield the department's power to force Georgia state lawmakers to overturn its presidential election results. The unassuming lawyer who worked on the plan, Jeffrey Clark, had been devising ways to cast doubts on the election results and to bolster Mr. Trump's continuing legal battles and the pressure on Georgia politicians. Because Mr. Rosen had refused the president's entreaties to carry out those plans, Mr. Trump was about to decide whether to fire Mr. Rosen and replace him with Mr. Clark. The reporter who got that amazing scoop, New York Times Justice Department reporter Katie Benner, joins me now. First of all, incredible reporting here. I had to read the story 3 times to make sure I was understanding it. But walk us through the story. What did you find?
Sure. I mean, it's very much like what you said in your introduction. It precipitated this crisis in the Justice Department when you saw one of the top leaders of the department basically working with President Trump to see if there was something that be done at the department in order to overturn the results of the election. Now, this person, Jeffrey Clark, had been rebuffed many times by the acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen and his deputy, Rich Donahue. They said, "Please, this cannot continue." On New Year's Eve, they had a pretty stern conversation with him on New Year's Eve, a stern conversation with him, which they really tried to understand why he refused to hew to the department's line that nobody had seen fraud. It had been investigated. It was something that Bill Barr had said privately to the president and publicly to the president, and yet Jeffrey Clark, having told them to read a lot of things on the internet, said that he just did politely disagree with them and he continued.
So you've got Rosen as the acting AG after Barr leaves. Clark is the head of the Civil Rights Division, which is in department leadership.
Oh, no, head of the Civil
definitely
Division.
up there, right? I'm sorry, the Civil Division. My bad. The Civil Division.
Yes, which is important. It defends the administration in court.
Yeah, that's a big part of the Department of Justice. Is that is up near the top of the leadership. And he apparently was introduced to Trump by a Pennsylvania politician, and they start interacting for Clark to be Trump's guy in the Department of Justice to oust Rosen so that they could ride into Georgia with the DOJ to write some letter on DOJ letterhead to say, "You, Georgia, must overturn your results."
Yes, so first Mr. Clark asked Mr. Rosen to do it as the acting Attorney General, and when that didn't work, he had a conversation with Mr. Trump in which he came away from that conversation thinking that Trump would replace Rosen with himself, and then he offered Mr. Rosen the opportunity to remain at the department as his deputy.
he hatches a Department of Justice coup with the president and offers him, the boss is going to make me the head of the Department of Justice. So we can, this is my words, not yours, so I'm just characterizing. The boss is going to make me the head of the Department of Justice and the acting AG so we can pull off his coup. You can stick around as my deputy, but this is what's going to happen. And then there's a meeting in the White House with Clark and Rosen and the president.
Yes, and this is sort of unusual timing because it happened on January 3rd, which is the exact same day that Georgia Secretary of State released, leaked the audio of his phone call the prior day with Mr. Trump. So you have the entire world listening to the audio of Trump and the Secretary of State in Georgia having this bizarre conversation, which Trump makes so clear that he wants Georgia to change its mind to find votes that would make him the winner. And then at the same time, you have a split screen with this meeting taking place around 6 p.m. on Sunday evening, where the president has set up an interesting situation where he has both Mr. Clark and Mr. Rosen there before him to present their competing visions for what the department should be doing. It was described to me by two different officials, former administration officials, as almost a bizarre version of The Apprentice in which they were to the better plan.
All right. Pause right there, Kevin.
So
we'll pause right there. All right, we're out of time here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting. We'll finish this clip there. We'll talk about this some more on our Sunday night show. If you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN Show, and at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate button. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you Sunday. We're on Sundays also 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you Sunday night. Peace. All right, stand by. Stand by, everybody. Okay, let's continue here. Let me cue up that clip. How's everybody doing? And also, African American business owners, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. We'll be here for a little while longer. We're going to talk briefly about Joe Biden and 2 executive orders signed today dealing with fighting against coronavirus, and then also dealing with the economy. And then we'll talk a little bit about Hiram Rhodes Revels as well. First African American U.S. Senator. He was from Mississippi, and he became a U.S. Senator in 1870, and he almost did not get seated. He almost did not get seated. Okay, let's go back to this clip here from All In with Chris Hayes, dealing with this huge story from the New York Times. Trump and Department of Justice lawyer reportedly plotted to oust acting attorney general. Let's go back to this clip.
At the department as his deputy.
he hatches a Department of Justice coup with the president and offers him, the boss is going to make me the head of the Department of Justice. So we can, this is my words, not yours. So I'm just characterizing. The boss is going to make me the head of the Department of Justice and the acting AG so we can pull off his coup. You can stick around as my deputy, but this is what's going to happen. And then there's a meeting in the White House with Clark and Rosen and the president.
Yes, and this is sort of unusual timing because it happened on January 3rd, which is the exact same day that Georgia Secretary of State released, leaked the audio of his phone call the prior day with Mr. Trump. So you have the entire world listening to the audio of Trump and the Secretary of State in Georgia having this bizarre conversation, which Trump makes so clear that he wants Georgia to change its mind to find votes that would make him the winner. And then at the same time, you have a split screen with this meeting taking place around 6 p.m. on Sunday evening, where the president has set up an interesting situation where he has both Mr. Clark and Mr. Rosen there before him to present their competing visions for what the department should be doing. It was described to me by two different officials, former administration officials, as almost a bizarre version of The Apprentice in which they were selling the better plan.
So it sounds to me from reading your article that enough people at DOJ get read into this plan that they essentially rebel en masse and threaten to all quit if it's pulled off. Is that right?
Yes. So Sunday, we'll just go through the chronology. Midday Sunday, Jeff Clark says to the Attorney General, the Acting Attorney General Rosen, I believe that the president is going to remove you and put me in your spot. And then a few hours later, Mr. Rosen's deputy, the Deputy Attorney General, calls an emergency conference call with the remaining top leaders of the department. He reads them into what's going on. He explains what Mr. Clark has been up to. And they discuss what they're going to do if in the coming hours, the president fires Jeffrey Rosen and replaces him with Mr. Clark. They decide that the only option is to leave. And so that was really powerful information because in this meeting with the president that happened a couple of hours later, other officials, including the head of OLC, Steve Engel, who was there, they were able to tell the president, listen, if you do this plan, it's going to blow up this way. It will cause this kind of chaos at the Justice Department. And if nothing else, nobody is going to pay attention to the Jeff Clark letter to Georgia. They will be paying attention to the fact that you have created a Saturday Night Massacre. And that was one of the compelling arguments to Mr.
All right. So you'll hear more about that. That's a huge story from the New York Times. Then Washington Post has a reporting to back that up also. There's an article from the Washington Post. Trump entertained plan to install an attorney general who would help him pursue baseless election fraud claims. Let me see. Let's turn on the screen share quickly so you can see that article from the Washington Post and go read this. I'm not sure if they made this free if you don't have a digital subscription or not. I'm not sure. But thehill.com has an article about this as well. Trump entertained plan to install an attorney general who would help him pursue baseless election fraud claims. Now, keep in mind, Trump pretty much gave up the fight against coronavirus and spent more time trying to overturn the results of a lawful election than he did trying to fight against coronavirus. And you had between 2,000 to 3,000 people dying a day. Now it's on average between 3,000 to 4,000 people dying a day from coronavirus. All right. So this is from January 22nd, 2021. then President Donald Trump in early January entertained a plan to replace the acting attorney general with a different Department of Justice lawyer who was more amenable to pursuing his unfounded claims of voter fraud, nearly touching off a crisis at the country's premier federal law enforcement institution. People familiar with the matter said. Okay, so check this out also from the Washington Post. All right, and then the article from the New York Times. Then the article from the New York Times is, we'll pull that up as well, so you can see that briefly, and you can read that. Let's look at this here. Okay. From the New York Times, Trump and Justice Department lawyers said to have plotted to oust acting attorney general. Trump and Justice Department lawyers said to have plotted to oust acting attorney general. And this is Jeffrey Clark, who Trump was going to replace acting attorney general Jeffrey Rosen with. This is from January 22nd, 2021, from New York Times. Okay, so you can check that out also. All right, I want to switch gears here. Let's go to these two executive orders that Joe Biden signed today. NBC News has an article dealing with this. Biden signs two executive orders. Biden signs two executive orders on COVID economic relief, worker protections, COVID economic relief, worker protections. Let's pull this up. All right. Biden has signed a number of executive orders to roll back Trump-era policies as well as address the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so Joe Biden signed two executive orders Friday to address the economic toll of the coronavirus pandemic, including expanding food stamps and beginning the process to require that everyone working for the federal government get a minimum wage of $15 an hour, beginning the process to require that everyone working for the federal government get a minimum wage of $15 an hour. Quote, we're in a national emergency. We need to act like we're in a national emergency, so we've got to move with everything we've got, Biden said in a speech ahead of signing the orders. Quote, if we act now, our economy will be stronger in both the short and long run. That's what economists both left, right, and center are telling us, end quote. Now, the first order, which the White House called an, quote, all of government, end quote, effort, all of government, end quote, effort, asked the Agriculture Department to increase by 15% a COVID-19 food assistance program that provides nutritional assistance to families with children who would normally receive free or reduced price lunches when schools were in regular sessions. The order also expands the emergency increase in supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits, SNAP, supplemental nutrition assistance programs, commonly known as food stamps, authorized by Congress to include those at the lowest income levels. That could provide a family with 3 children with more than $100 in extra benefits every 2 months, administration officials said. National Economic Council Director Brian Deese said the orders, which add to a slew of executive orders Biden has already signed, are, quote, not a substitute for the massive $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief bill that Biden hopes Congress will pass, but rather a critical lifeline for millions of Americans who need assistance now. Quote, the American people can't afford to wait. So many are hanging on by a thread. The American people can't afford to wait. so many are hanging on by a thread. Now, the order signed on Friday also asked the Treasury Department to update the process it uses to issue direct payments after a number of qualifying Americans reported issues and delays getting the first 2 rounds of stimulus checks last year under Donald Trump. You'd think they would have the kinks worked out by now, but okay, that was under Trump though. The order also establishes a coordination system across federal agencies to help people better navigate what relief benefits they qualify for. All right. This is another executive order from Joe Biden. This just second full day on the job. Okay. Doing all this, second full day on the job. That's the difference between somebody who's competent and somebody like Trump who was not. Okay, this executive order also establishes a coordination system across federal agencies to help people better navigate what relief benefits they qualify for. President Joe Biden's order also allows for workers who turn down employment out of concerns about health risks amid the pandemic to qualify for unemployment benefits. Because under the way it currently is, if you turn down a job, if you're collecting unemployment benefits and you turn down a job, or so you get called back to your job, and you are afraid to go back because you're afraid you'll get coronavirus. I mean, really afraid you'll get coronavirus, you could lose your unemployment benefits, and you're choosing between your life and your unemployment benefits. Okay, Biden changed that with his executive order. Just second full day on the job. Okay, Biden's order also allows for workers who turn down employment out of concerns about health risks amid the COVID-19 pandemic to qualify for unemployment benefits. Quote, no one should have to choose between their livelihoods and their own health or the health of loved ones in the middle of a deadly pandemic, end quote, Joe Biden said. All right, I want to go to this. I want to go to this clip here. This is dealing with these executive orders. We'll go to this here. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. This is the difference between somebody who knows how government works and how it's supposed to work, and somebody who just has no clue and is just trying to fleece government and shake it down, and then trying to overturn lawful elections to stay in office. This is the difference. Okay, let's go to this clip here. So this is Joe Biden talk. Biden announces executive orders for economic relief amid the COVID pandemic. All right, this was at a press conference he had today. Let's go to this clip.
Today, I'm signing an executive order that directs the whole of government, a whole of government effort to help millions of Americans who are badly hurting. It requires all federal agencies to do what they can do to provide relief to families, small business, and communities. And in the days ahead, I expect agencies to act. Let me touch on 2 ways these actions can help change Americans' lives. We need to tackle the growing hunger crisis in America. 1 in 7 households in America, 1 in 7, more than 1 in 5 Black and Latino households in America report they do not have enough food to eat. That includes nearly 30 million adults and as many as 12 million children. And again, they're in this situation through no fault of their own. It's unconscionable. The American Rescue Plan provides additional emergency food and nutrition assistance for tens of millions of children and families to address this crisis. But families literally can't wait another day. As a result of the executive order I'm going to shortly sign, the Department of Agriculture will consider taking immediate steps to make it easier for the hardest hit families to enroll and claim more generous benefits in the critical food and nutrition assistance area. This can help tens of millions of families, especially those who can't provide meals for their kids, who are learning remotely at home, are not receiving the regular meal plans that they have at school for breakfast or lunch. We also need to protect the health and safety of the American worker. Right now, approximately 40% of households in America have at least one member with a pre-existing condition. Just imagine, you're out of work through no fault of your own. You file for unemployment while you're looking for a job. You find one, you get an offer. But then you find out there's a high risk of you getting infected with COVID-19 because of your condition. You and your loved ones have ever even greater risk of death and serious illness because of the pre-existing conditions. So you turn it down. Right now, if you did that, you could be denied unemployment insurance because you're offered a job, you didn't take it. It's wrong. No one should have to choose between their livelihoods and their own health or the health of their loved ones in the middle of a deadly pandemic. Because of the executive order I'm about to sign, I expect the Department of Labor to guarantee the right to refuse employment that will jeopardize your health. And if you do so, you'll still be able to qualify for the insurance. That's a judgment the Labor Department will make. Look, there are just two consequential ways that the action I'm taking today will help people in need. Another way to help approximately 2 million veterans maintain their financial footing by pausing federal collections on overpayments and debts. Another makes sure that federal contractors are receiving taxpayers' dollars, provide their workers with the pay and benefits they deserve. These are places where federal tax dollars are administered, are being made available to build things from ships to staircases. And the federal government lets the contract, and we're going to make sure that they buy American and are made in America. And here's another. Right now, there are up to 8 million people that are eligible for direct payments from the CARES Act and a relief bill passed in December. They're entitled to those payments, but there's not an easy way for those folks to access them. So we're making it a priority today to fix that problem and get them relief they're entitled to.
All right. So that is excerpt of press conference that took place today. And Joe Biden was announcing 2 executive orders that he was signing dealing with COVID-19 economic relief and worker protections. All right. So that's big news there. Go back and watch the show from yesterday, at January 21st, 2021 show. We dealt with, we continue talking about the executive orders that Biden has signed this week. We dealt with the executive order on advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities throughout the federal government. And this ties into him talking about fighting against white supremacy in his inaugural address on Wednesday. Okay, so I see a whole lot of people talking, but very few people actually read. We broke this down on yesterday's show. Okay, so a lot of people don't do that. They just put this BS out here and have no clue what they're talking about. And see, I actually read the executive orders, and I go to whitehouse.gov and read the executive orders. What's whitehouse.gov? The official website of the White House. That's where all the executive orders are. Okay, so go back and we broke this down on our Thursday show. Then we talked about the 15 and 17 executive orders, the first batch of them, on our Wednesday show. All right, let's continue. And this executive order ties into the study from Citibank from September 2020 that dealt with how the U.S. economy has lost $16 trillion over 20 years due to racism from 2000 to 2020. We talked about that study again on our show yesterday. All right. Okay, so we have that, and then let's see. All right, so you'll hear more about these executive orders. Oh, also, for those who missed yesterday's show, because I see some of y'all commenting here who don't read, we also talked about the document that I've talked about numerous times before and I deal with it in a lot of my presentations. And it's at it was originally at whitehouse.gov, and then it was archived at obamawhitehouse.gov. Progress of the African American community under the Obama administration, because so many people talk but don't read, and that's problematic. When you do that, I can tell what you haven't read, what you haven't researched. So go read this also. Now this breaks down category by category how policies from the Obama administration positively impacted African Americans. Now these were a lot of policies that various African American organizations advocated for. Just because you weren't in a room doesn't mean that they didn't ask for something. Just means you still don't know what happened. Go read this too. I've dealt with this. This was up in 2014, 2015 at whitehouse.gov. And I've dealt with this numerous times in presentations as well. All right. So people should do more reading and less talking. All right. Let's see here. Now, a lot of this was attacked by Trump and reversed under Trump. That's why when we dealt with the 22-page agenda to empower Black America from Joe Biden, it came out May 4th, 2020. And we dealt with that numerous times on the show, went through all 22 pages, broke down these policies and show how they would impact African Americans, tied those policies into history. Okay. This is why in that agenda, it referenced a lot of policies from the Obama administration that had been reversed under the Trump administration, and why it had to be put back in place and built upon. All right. So let's go to, so we dealt with that. We'll talk more about the executive orders. Y'all can check out this article here that we dealt with last night on the show. And it's a lot that goes into writing executive orders. How do I know? Because I've been involved in writing executive orders for the city of Detroit. It's a committee that does that. So I have some understanding of it. My perspective is different because I've actually been involved in writing public policy for a city. Reversing course, Joe Biden signs executive actions dissolving Trump's racist policies. Not all of Trump's racist policies, but some of them. It attacks it. Read this from newsone.com. That goes into this as well. This is from that was the 21st, January 20. I wish they put the damn date on here. Posted 14 hours ago. What the hell? Put the date on here. Come on, please. Black media. Put the date and the timestamp on your articles. This was January 21st, 2021 by Sharice Frazier. Goes through and breaks down some of these executive orders. Reversing course, Joe Biden signs executive actions dissolving Trump racist policies. Joe Biden's executive order, including targeting underserved Black populations stressed under the weight of two pandemics, racism and coronavirus. You know, so there's a whole lot of people talking, but very few people actually read and actually know what they're talking about. Okay, let's continue here. So we'll do birthday shout outs, and then we'll get to Hiram Rhodes Revels. Today is the birth date of one of the greatest entertainers of all time, legendary Sam Cooke. I posted this article on our Facebook fan page. This post, we shared it from the National R&B Music Society, and shared it from my Facebook fan page, or my personal page, also Michael Imhotep. But Sam Cooke was born January 22nd, 1931. And, you know, I learned about Sam Cooke when I was a kid. And and my parents would play Sam Cooke records at home. And I listened. That's how I learned about Sam Cooke. And, you know, listen to Chain Gang, and She Was Only 16, Twisting the Night Away, Frankie and Johnny, Cupid, Cupid, Draw Back Your Bow. And, I sing some of those Sam Cooke songs to my daughter. So let's look at this here from the National R&B Music Society dealing with Sam Cooke. Let's go to this here. Okay, I think this is it right here. And he was with the Soul Stirrers first. He was a gospel singer turned R&B singer. Okay, he was a gospel singer turned R&B singer. And when you go study like James Brown, a lot of the big R&B singers, they started out, of course, in the church, but they were gospel singers first, recording. You know, they were with gospel groups. They were recording records, gospel records, and then they switched to secular music because there's more money in it. But the gospel, when you go study the gospel singers, like especially the male gospel singers and groups, they were as popular as the R&B singers and as popular with the women. The women were chasing the gospel singers too. Okay. All right. So remembering Samuel Cooke, Cooke, known professionally as Sam Cooke, on the day of his birth, singer, songwriter, and entrepreneur, influential as both a singer and composer. He is commonly known as the King of Soul for his distinctive vocals and importance within popular music. He began singing as a child and joined the Soul Stirrers, before moving to a solo career where he scored a string of hits like You Send Me, A Change Is Gonna Come. Everybody remembers A Change Is Gonna Come from the movie Malcolm X. Every time I hear A Change Is Gonna Come, I think about the movie Malcolm X. Every time I hear that song, A Change Is Gonna Come. And that song is about the civil rights movement. Okay, that song is about the civil rights movement because Sam Cooke was also involved in the civil rights movement as well. So A Change Is Gonna Come, Chain Gang, Twisting the Night Away, and Bring It On Home to Me. All right. So rest in peace to Sam Cooke and happy birthday as well. He's born January 22nd, 1931. All right. Now I want to go to this. Interview here. This is Sam Cooke on the Mike Douglas show. Now, you know, the past 3 nights, we shared an excerpt of an interview from November 2nd, 1967 with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that Mike Douglas did, okay? And those interviews were in color. This one here with Sam Cooke is in black and white, okay? All right. So this is from 1964, February 11th, 1964. All right. So this is 2 months before this is 2 months before Dr. King is assassinated. This is the same month that Cassius Clay beats Sonny Liston, Muhammad Ali. All right. And all right. So let's go to this clip here. This is Sam Cooke on the Mike Douglas show from February 11th, 1964. And before the interview, he does a performance of Ain't That Good News.
It's good news. Good news, yeah. Let's do a little capsule version of the Sam Cooke story. How did it all happen? A little capsule version. Born, my father was a minister. I started singing in the church naturally because I was exposed to gospel singing first. Came out of school, went with a professional gospel group called the Soul Stirrers, sang around the country with them for about 5 years. Decided to go on my own, made a song called You Send Me. It sold about 1.5 million copies for me, luckily enough. Went into the Copa, bombed. You bombed? Did you really? That's right. I bombed the Copa. Wait a minute, see, here's what I bombed. The Copa's a funny room, and unless you know show business, and unless you give it a real adult approach, you bump. And that's what I did, because I didn't make good. That's why I said bump. Because there are Copas everywhere. It's the one in New York City you're talking about. Which, that's right. For some reason, I can't explain it. It happens to be the prestige date of all time. If you make it at the Copa, that's it. Is that true? That's true. No. Isn't that true?
Why do you think you bombed? Why do you?
I know why I bombed. Because I wasn't ready.
Yeah, I know I bombed too. I had the wrong act. Oh, I mean it. I didn't say a word. The whole act that I did, it was just entertainment, song.
Yeah.
And these guys would sit and give me that real glassy stare, you know. And one night, right in the middle of a song, a guy gave me the words. I had a kind of a dramatic place in Autumn Leaves, you know. And I sort of looked over and I said, "But Autumn Leaves," he said, "start to fall." And I didn't answer back, I guarantee you. There's a little guy sitting just looking at me like that all through the act.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to pick me up in the alley someplace.
You know, there are different opinions on what you have just said. Now, there are a lot of people who prepare acts for people like you and Howard say that you're not supposed to talk until you're well into it. Now, I've seen the best of them perform, and I know Sammy Davis doesn't say word one until he's sung for about 30 minutes. Yeah. And that goes for Tony Bennett.
Well, I think it's all in trying to establish a rapport with the audience. If you feel that you're establishing a rapport, it's not necessary to talk. But then sometimes conversation, some people sing better to establish a rapport, some people happen to talk better. Now, I do what comes to my mind. Now, if I feel I'm not establishing a rapport, and if I see there's something I can say in conversation that will help them come to me and me come to them, because it's a mutual thing, then I'll talk.
Sam, what is this song that you're going to do? Darling, You Send Me medley. What is that? Is that the big
That's the big thing. I had You Send Me, and right after that, I had another song called Sentimental Reasons, and I usually sing these two songs together because they mean so much to me.
You had a big one on Chain Gang, too.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm keeping up with you. Yeah. Sam Cooke's going to sing for us again. Would you like that?
All right, so due to copyright reasons, we're not going to play any copyrighted music here because they're going to take it down, take down the broadcast. So we can't do that. So let's go further into the interview. And let's see here. Let's cue it back up here.
Tear it up, Sam. Let me see that.
Okay, didn't they just okay, how many performances do they have them doing? They need to talk to the man. Okay, so that was the Mike Douglas show. That was one. Then let's see, let me give you this clip here. This was from February 11th, 1964, the Mike Douglas show. You can watch that in its entirety. Okay. And I would encourage people to read the executive orders before y'all start talking about them. I really encourage you to do that. That really, I can't stress that enough because I hear a whole lot of people talking and very few people actually reading. Let me see. There was another one. Let's see. Oh, also go back and watch yesterday's show. We talked about how most Americans don't know what's in the Constitution because they don't read it. CBS this morning on CBS, the morning show on CBS, January 19th, they did a segment dealing with how most Americans don't know what's in the Constitution because they haven't read it and don't understand the law. 2/3 of Americans couldn't name the 3 branches of government. All this is tied together. All this is tied together. Understanding politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. This is why you have to read. This is why I give you these articles, all this stuff I talk about, proper documentation ends all conversation. I give you the sources to go read it. You don't have to believe me. Go research this yourself. All right, let's see here. Fly Girl said very few people read. Yeah. That's why I do more reading than talking. That's why I only do 1 broadcast a day because I'm busy researching. I don't have time to do that. I'm researching. Let's see here. I'm trying to get. It was one more I wanted to get. That doesn't include. There was one with Dick Clark. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this one here. This is from 1964.
Goodies and all that stuff.
This is from 1964 with Sam Cooke being interviewed by Dick Clark.
Sam, come sit. Make yourself at home. What year, we're reminiscing today and using the all-time, old-time goodies and all that stuff. What was the first year you recorded You Send Me?
Send Me, Dick, that was in 57.
Previous to 1957, how many records had you made?
I'd made about, I'd made any popular tunes.
You hadn't made any popular songs, but you had been working in another field, had you?
That's right, I was doing spirituals at the time, Dick.
All right, what caused you at that point in your career of 57 to turn to this kind of singing?
My economic situation.
That's a very honest answer. How many songs have you written?
Dick, I don't know, but I've written just about all I've sang.
Which is several hundred?
Well, I can estimate this way. I've been in the business now, Dick, for about 6 years, and I haven't had a song that wasn't a hit, so I was on the charts, I think, from the time I started until now.
This is an amazing record. Now, Sam, most people don't get to do this. What's the answer? Now, here's a man whose career so far is about 6 years old in this field, not counting what went on before. What's the secret?
I think the secret is really observation, Dick.
What do you mean?
Well, if you observe what's going on and try to figure out how people are thinking and determine the times of your day, I think you can always write something that the people will understand.
All right, now you've solidified your own career as far as the singing and the records go. What do you hope to do in the future? You're doing different things now, aren't you?
Yeah, well, now, Dick, I'm working mostly with other young singers, you know.
Wait a minute. Young singers. Cassius Clay is a young singer. Did you do that record?
Yes, I did. You know, not the Stand By Me. I did the one called Hey Hey, the Gang's All Here. Yeah.
Was it fun?
It's a lot of fun because Cassius is a fun guy.
You don't dare have any argument. Yeah, just ask.
No arguments. Really.
Just ask a few other people that tell you no. You don't dare argue with this cat. That's for sure.
Mean.
No. Are you traveling like you used to?
No, I'm not, Dick. I'm mostly staying home now.
What are you producing, writing something?
I'm producing and writing, as I said, for other people.
What could be the greatest thing in the world that would happen to you if you had your choice?
The greatest thing that happened to me, if all the singers I'm connected with had hits.
I will knock on wood and hope the whole thing goes. Sam and I were talking about before. The last time I think I was looking at an old film. It was about 1957 or 58. We'll reminisce a little bit and we'll do some autographs, if you will, all right?
All right, I will. Thank you.
Join you
nice to see you again, too.
Sam Cooke, ladies and gentlemen. We'll join you at the autograph table.
All right. All right, that's Sam Cooke from 1964. Wow, being interviewed by Dick Clark. Okay. So check that out also. You know, a lot of people see now, a lot of people, let me, how should I phrase this? A lot of people would have more friends if they weren't so negative and pessimistic. You know, because those type of people, I don't spend a whole lot of time with them. I have very few people in my inner circle, and I don't have negative, pessimistic people around me. And usually the ones that are negative and pessimistic aren't doing anything positive. They talk a lot, but they ain't doing the damn thing. So I just be cognizant of those people. And if you hang around 4 broke people, you're going to be number 5. Okay. You got to be careful of the people you have around you in your inner circle. And a lot of those negative people always speaking negative. They don't do this. They don't do that. Blah, blah, blah. All that. I don't have time for that. That negative energy saps all of your strength and all that from you. So, you know, you can hang around those people if you want to. Just keep them the hell away from me. Okay, we got that. Okay, so also celebrating the birthday today is DJ Jazzy Jeff as well. Okay, and we first found out about DJ Jazzy Jeff, most of us, from Will Smith, the Fresh Prince. Parents just don't understand. Okay, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. So he is. Let's pull this up here also. And I'm going to show you this other article quickly here. I posted this yesterday. We can do a whole show on this other article here. But DJ Jazzy Jeff's birthday is today also. Let me see. Let's pull this up here. I kind of lost my place for a minute. And, you know, we as a people would get farther if we did more reading and less talking. I'm just saying. Somebody who taught entrepreneurship for 7 years or somebody who teaches history. Your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results. January 22nd, 1965. Jeffrey Allen Towns, better known professionally as DJ Jazzy Jeff, record producer, DJ, and comedian, who's best known for his friendship and collaboration with Will Smith as DJ Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince. He turned 65 today. And I've said, numerous times before, when I was a teenager, in the 80s, and listened to hip hop artists and things like that, we never thought about gray haired hip hop artists, right? We ain't think about hip hop artists having heart transplant surgeries and having a leg amputated because of diabetes, things like that. So when I see who was it? When I saw an interview with P. Diddy. Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean P. Diddy Combs last year. He had a gray beard, and I see this, we never thought about gray haired rappers, right? And then looking at the Fresh Prince and things like this, we just never thought about that. We never thought about hip hop artists dying like of heart attacks or, it's just, we just always thought of them as that they would, I guess, always be young, right? Let's see. Let's go to this one here. This is DJ Jazzy Jeff. Yeah. Born January 22nd, 1965. January 22nd, 1965. We know yesterday was the birth date of, and this also comes courtesy of the National R&B Music Society. We know yesterday was the birth date of Susan Moons. Is it Susan Moons? That's her last name. Let me see, pull this up here. Also, Jam Master Jay of Run DMC, January 21st, 1965. Okay, that was his birthday yesterday. Jason W. Mizzle, okay, Jam Master Jay. I'm the king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MC, you should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must use fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire. Now, and then also, as we talked about yesterday as well, yesterday was the birth date of Susan Moonsey, better known as Susan, from Vanity 6 and Apollonia 6. Happy birthday, wherever the hell you are. I follow her on Instagram. It was Instagram. I think it was Instagram yesterday. I followed her on. Okay. All right. I don't know what it. I had Vanity 6, Nasty Girls on 33 and a third LP. I don't know where it is. I don't. It's probably collector's edition. I had a bunch of albums. I had Wham, Make It Big, Tears for Fears. I don't know where my albums are. They may be in a closet somewhere. But once again, we wish her happy birthday. But just for the hell of it, once again, happy birthday to Susan from Vanity 6 and Apollonia 6. All right, now, Hiram Rhodes Revels. Okay. So, let me show you this one also. I posted this article yesterday to make a point. Once again, unfortunately, a lot of us don't understand history, okay? And especially dealing with history of the African diaspora. And for some reason, when we think of African Americans, we just think we just all came from Mississippi, Alabama, and then like we don't have like Caribbean roots. It's just amazing. So let's look at this article here. I'm going to show you this post that I did yesterday on Facebook. And then quickly this article, then we get to Hiram Rhodes Revels. You'd be surprised how many people you know who you think are just quote unquote black, Mississippi black, Alabama black, Tennessee black, just black, right? That had Caribbean ancestry. Like people who you know. All right. And then there are a lot of celebrities who have Caribbean ancestry and people don't know it. Kerry Washington is one of them. So I said we need to learn our history about the African diaspora, from Esther Rolle to Kerry Washington to LL Cool J, celebrities of African descent with Caribbean heritage. Okay, but African people are all you're dealing with the African diaspora. All right, and a lot of those areas African people were in even before slavery started, even before the transatlantic slave trade. So quickly here, if we look at this article, let's see. This is from Caribbean Beat. Caribbean Hollywood, 40 plus actors of Caribbean heritage. 40 plus actors of Caribbean heritage. All right. We know people like Harry Belafonte, Sidney Poitier. We know that. We know Minister Farrakhan, right? We know, most people know about that. Okay. Rita Moreno, Esther Rolle, Florida Evans from Good Times. Her parents were Bahamian. Madge St. Clair, Kingston, Jamaica. Okay. We know Jeffrey Holder, the 7-Up, and Jeffrey Holder and Boomerang, right? The bald-headed guy used to do the 7-Up commercials. We know he's Caribbean. Okay, from the Caribbean. Oh, also speaking of Caribbean, yesterday was Billy Ocean's birthday. I posted about it. We had so much going on yesterday. I forgot to give a shout out to Billy Ocean also. Talk about Caribbean queen. She dashed by me and painted on jeans, right? Talk about Caribbean, okay? Billy Ocean. Let's see here. So Kerry Washington. All right. She is Jamaican. Mother's Jamaican, American father. CCH Pounder, Guyana. Okay, born in Guyana on Christmas Day, 1962. As Benicio del Toro. Lorraine Toussaint, Trinidad, born in Trinidad and Tobago in 1960. Naomi Harris, born to a Jamaican mother and Trinidadian father. Derek Luke, born in the U.S. to a Guyanese father, American mother. Also, Issa Rae. Everybody, a lot of women like the TV show Insecure. Issa Rae, her parents are from Sierra Leone. She has Sierra Leone ancestry. Michelle Rodriguez, Puerto Rican father, mother from Dominican Republic. Okay, Dual Hill, who's it? Sean Patrick Thomas, born in the U.S. to Guyanese parents. Actor Sean Patrick Thomas, who we saw in one of the barbershop movies. Letitia Wright from Black Panther. Okay, born in Guyana in 1993, migrating to the UK at age 7. Winston Duke, born in Tobago, 1986, also in Black Panther. Singer Heather Headley, okay, Heather Headley, and I always get Heather Headley and Vivian Green mixed up. They're both beautiful sisters. I always get them mixed up. They always sing crazy songs about relationship, emotional roller coaster, stuff like that. I always say, if you pull up to your girlfriend's house or apartment or something, whatever, She's playing emotional roller coaster and keep driving. But born in Trinidad in 1974, migrated to Indiana when she was 15, Heather Headley. And let's see how we on time. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Oh, we all know Cheryl Lee Ralph, okay, Jamaican. We know she was first in a piece of the action with Sidney Poitier and James Earl Jones and Bill Cosby. All right, that's when she first started. That was her first acting job. And then we know her from Moesha as well. She's Jamaican. Okay. Then Tatiana Ali from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Her father's Trinidadian, her mother's Panamanian. So these are a lot of people. I'm doing this for a reason. Because a lot of us really don't understand history in the African diaspora. And African people all throughout the Caribbean, African people all around the world, but especially throughout the Caribbean. I'm doing this for a reason. Okay. You got people, I know people, just like Herb Alchemist. You see, we share videos from Herb Alchemist. She's Trinidadian and Panamanian. That's where her parents are from. So, it's like Black and being African descent is more just because your family is just from Alabama, Tennessee, and that's like in your mind, that's just what Black is much broader than that. It's much more diverse than that. We have to have a better understanding of history and understand and have a Pan-African view of history in the world. We look at being quote unquote Black as just one dimensional. Esther Anderson Garcelle Beauvais, we know from the Jamie Foxx show, Fancy. We know she's Haitian. Rosario Dawson, born to a Puerto Rican mother. Jackie Harry, Sandra Clark. Sandra Clark from 227, Jackie. All right, born to a Trinidadian mother. You'd be surprised how many people who we just look at as African American or just quote unquote Black. All right, how many of them have Caribbean roots? Jackie. Grace Jones, we know, born in Jamaica. Delroy Lindo, okay, remember West Indian Archie? He played the hell out of that role in Malcolm X. Delroy Lindo, West Indian Archie, born in England to Jamaican parents. Nia Long, fine as hell. Nia Long, born to Trinidadian parents. Okay. You'd be surprised. Alfonso Ribeiro, okay, Ribeiro, born in the U.S. to Trinidadian parents and grandson of a Trinidadian calypso legend, Raphael Roaring Lion Leon. Zoe Saldana, Puerto Rican. Gina Torres, born in the U.S. to Cuban parents. Miss Cicely Tyson, okay, born in the U.S. to parents from St. Kitts and Nevis. You'd be surprised. Then also, did you know these Caribbean connections? Beyonce's father is Bahamian. Tyson Bexford, his mother's Jamaican. Naomi Campbell, mother Jamaican. Stacey Dash, she don't count. Barbadian father, she don't count. LL Cool J, his grandparents are Barbadian from Barbados. Tia and Tamara, the sister. The mothers from Bahamian. Jada Pinkett Smith, maternal Barbadian Jamaican ancestry. Karen Parsons from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Trinidadian mother. Okay, so we got to do more research. We have to do more research. When we think of Black, and then even just Black American and all this, that's more diverse than we think it is. It really is. We have to understand history. Okay, so check this out at Caribbean Beat, Caribbean-beat.com. Caribbean Hollywood, 40 plus actors of Caribbean heritage. 40 plus actors of Caribbean heritage. Okay, lastly, and let me post this link here. And we really have to get out of here. If you all also, if you all like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. PayPal.me/the AHN Show. This helps us keep doing the research and stay on the air 6 nights a week. 6 nights a week. And keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. Stay on the air. Also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate. Click on the yellow donate button. African American business owners, email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can also email us at ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Because some of the emails we send from customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, it goes to people's spam folders, and it takes them like a week to find it, the email, something like that. So you can email us also at ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. We create a video commercial. It re-airs when we rebroadcast these shows throughout the day on our social media platforms. We have a special promotion: buy 1 month, get 1 month free. You'll get about 200 commercials airing in a month on our social media platforms. Email us today. We'll get you up and running. ahnshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, let's look at this last story here. So Equal Justice Initiative, EJI.org, Brian Stevenson's organization. You know, we share articles from them dealing with this date in history. So they have a article here dealing with Hiram Rhodes Revels. Hiram Rhodes Revels, and I talk about him periodically. I talked about him a lot in 2020. Hiram Rhodes Revels was the first African American U.S. senator. Okay, this was in 1870. He was a U.S. senator from Mississippi. And once again, all this ties into history. It deals with not just the legacy of slavery, but Reconstruction, etc. And when Mike Espy was in the November 3rd, 2020 election, when Mike Espy was running to be a U.S. senator from Mississippi, he would have been, if he had won and beaten the public hanging woman, Cindy Hyde Smith, he would have been the first African-American U.S. senator from Mississippi since Reconstruction. Okay, since Hiram Rhodes Revels, who became a U.S. senator in 1870. Check this piece out from EJI.org. Equal Justice Initiative. White officials attempt to nullify election of first Black senator. White officials attempt to nullify election of first Black senator. And this is about Hiram Rhodes Revels. Okay. And I talked about him in 2020 because 2020 was the sesquicentennial or 150th anniversary of the 15th Amendment of 1870. And the 15th Amendment guaranteed the right to vote for African-American men, okay, not women at the time. This is during Reconstruction, after the Civil War. And it was February 3rd, 1870 that the 15th Amendment was adopted, okay? Now, History.com, which is the official website of the History Channel, they have a really good article. And I did a whole presentation in 2020, and we'll probably re-air it on our social media platforms. It dealt with, does an amendment give you the right to vote? Does an amendment give you the right to vote? And it deals with the U.S. Constitution. So once again, as we talked about as yesterday's show and the day before and the day before and the day before, I talk about read the U.S. Constitution, go to archives.gov or librarycongress.gov, read the U.S. Constitution. We'll probably talk about this some more on our Sunday show. Then the study that that they talked about on CBS this morning, in the article they have from January 19th, 2021, that dealt with how most Americans don't know what's in the U.S. Constitution. Most Americans don't know what's in the U.S. Constitution. Well, all this ties into law, and your understanding of the U.S. Constitution also ties into who you vote for, policies you support, or if you vote at all. All right. And politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. All this is tied together, and it's tied to history. His movements take place. Movements take place to address conditions. Conditions are shaped by policies and laws. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Laws are put in place that come out of movements to address conditions. Then the laws that are put in place spark another movement to either reverse that law or take it even further, which then causes another movement, and then you have a cycle. Okay, slavery. From slavery, you have, before the Civil War, abolitionist movement. You have, even before the Underground Railroad, which starts about 1830, you have a Southern Underground Railroad where abolitionists are helping enslaved Africans escape into Texas when Texas becomes free territory. You have Harriet Beecher Stowe, who writes her book, her novel Uncle Tom's Cabin. And the character of Uncle Tom is based upon the life of Josiah Henson, who's a runaway slave from Maryland, who becomes a abolitionist and conductor on the Underground Railroad. The book Uncle Tom's Cabin really exposes America to the horrors of slavery. You have the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 that deals with westward expansion of slavery. The Kansas-Nebraska Act then causes the Republican Party to be founded in 1854. The Republican Party is founded by groups of abolitionists as a direct backlash to the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Then in 1860, November 1860, Abraham Lincoln becomes president-elect of the newly formed Republican Party, which was a counter to, at the time, the Democratic Party. December 20th, 1860, South Carolina secedes from the Union because they think Lincoln is going to free the slaves. South Carolina becomes the first state to secede from the Union. In March 4th, 1861, at Lincoln's inaugural address, he states that he has no intention of freeing slaves in territories where slavery exists. This infuriates abolitionists like Frederick Douglass. The next month, April 12th, 1861, the Civil War starts. You're going to have a number of other states to secede, southern states to secede from the Union. Okay. Then the Civil War, 1861, 1865. This leads to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. You have the Reconstruction era, 1865 to 1877. You have the Compromise of 1877, which comes about because of the November 1876 presidential election, where Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel Tilden, neither one have enough electoral college votes to become president. There's a compromise. The Republicans agreed to remove the Union troops out of the South because the Democrats want the Union troops removed out of the South to really implement Jim Crow laws and really solidify white supremacy. So you understand movements, laws, conditions. Movements addressing conditions that were caused by laws and policies. You see a cycle. Okay, so this is why you have to understand history, laws, policies. The foundation is the U.S. Constitution. Okay, now very quickly, because we got to get the hell out of here. The first black man elected to Congress was nearly blocked from taking his seat. This is from history.com. History.com is official website of the History Channel. Okay, history.com is a good article here. This is about Hiram Rhodes Revels. Okay, Hiram Rhodes Revels. This is during Reconstruction. This is 1870, and he's in Mississippi. All right, now, Hiram Rhodes Revels arrived on Capitol Hill. I'm a Bill. I'm only a Bill. Sitting here on Capitol Hill. Okay, we need to go back and watch Schoolhouse Rock also, because that taught us something back in the 70s. We at least knew how a bill became a law. All right. We're going to talk some more about the Constitution on our Sunday night show and how most Americans don't know what's in the Constitution. 2/3 of Americans could not name 3 branches of government, the 3 branches of government. 1 out of 5 Americans, or 20%, could not name 1 branch of government. Hiram Rhodes Revels arrived on Capitol Hill to take his seat as the first African-American member of the U.S. Congress in 1870. But first, the Mississippi Republican faced Democrats determined to block him. Now, this is before the party realignment that completed in the mid to late 1960s, that starts with the Lily White movement in 1928, which was the effort by Republicans in 1928 to get Herbert Hoover elected as president. And they appealed to Southern segregationist Democrats in 5 former Confederate states. Okay, this is what starts the shift. And the Lily White movement was a movement to push African Americans out of the Republican Party. You have to understand this sequence, this chronology of history. Okay, to understand the existence of something, as one of my teachers, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, teaches, to understand the existence of something, you must first understand the pre-existence of existence. Historical events don't happen in a vacuum. They are the culmination of a sequence of historical events. This is why the study I've been talking about the past few nights from the Southern Poverty Law Center is so important. Teaching Hard History American Slavery, Teaching Hard History American Slavery from the Southern Poverty Law Center, which documents how the history of slavery is being incorrectly taught in schools all across the country, and numerous ways to more correctly teach that history. So where society is today, okay, is the result of the trajectory and the chronology of historical events that brought us right to this point today. We have to understand that history to change the conditions and take us into a different direction. All right, let's see here. Okay, so the Constitution, once again, talking about the Constitution requires U.S. senators to hold citizenship for at least 9 years. As they argued, Hiram Rhodes Revels had only recently become a citizen with the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the 14th Amendment, once again dealing with law. And as I explained to people, civil rights didn't start with Rosa Parks. Civil rights didn't start with Dr. King. Civil rights, it goes back to 1865 and 1866. Before that, before 1866 and the 14th Amendment of 1868, the U.S. Supreme Court had ruled in its 1857 Dred Scott decision that Black people were not U.S. citizens. This technically wasn't actually their main issue with Hiram Rhodes Revels. We were dealing with the Democrats at the time. This technically was not their main issue with Hiram Rhodes Revels. At the time, the Democrats were the party of white Southern men, and they simply did not want any African-American men in Congress. In any case, their bad faith legal argument did not hold up. Hiram Rhodes Revels, fellow Republicans, argued he was born a free man in the United States and lived all his life and lived there all his life. Dred Scott was a bad decision that should have never been made, which the Civil Rights Act and 14th Amendment had sought to redress, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. This is what Republicans argued. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the 14th Amendment had sought to redress these issues pertaining to the Dred Scott case of 1857. Just because the law had only recently recognized African-American men's citizenship did not mean he was a quote-unquote new citizen. Quote, Mr. Revels, the colored senator from Mississippi, and let me turn on the screen share. Let me show you this here. Mr. Revels, the colored senator from Mississippi, was sworn in and admitted to his seat this afternoon, reported the New York Times on February 25th, 1870. New York Times is a very old publication, newspaper. Quote, Mr. Revels showed no embarrassment whatever, and his demeanor was as dignified as could be expected under the circumstances. The abuse which had been poured upon him and on his face during the last 2 days might well have shaken the nerves of anyone. Okay. All right. Now, Hiram Rhodes Revels took his only oath only 5 years after the Civil War, which ended in 1865. Over the next decade, 15 more African-American men took their seats in the House and Senate, including men like South Carolina Congressman Robert Smalls, who was previously enslaved. Quote, it really does reflect what a revolutionary period Reconstruction was, said Gregory Downs, a history professor at the University of California, Davis. Congress had ordered the Army to register African-American men to vote in 1867. Quote, in a series of a few months, you had people in South Carolina and other places who had been slaves as recently as 2 or 3 years before, now participating, now voting, and even being elected to serve to remake the Constitution. Okay. All right. Once again, here's a picture of Hiram Rhodes Revels. Now, the large population of formerly enslaved people meant that there were many more Black voters in the South than the North. And actually, some northern states did not enfranchise African-American men until after the southern states did so. African-American men elected Black representatives and white Republicans locally and at the state level, which led to representation at the federal level. But the people who had objected to Hiram Rhodes Revels joining the Senate were still mad, and it was only a matter of time before backlash struck. In the 1870s, organizations like the White League and the 1870s, organizations like the White League and the Red Shirts began terrorizing and intimidating African-American men so they would not vote and participate in government. But of these tactics, quote, the height of statewide Black power crests in the middle of the 1870s, end quote, Downs says. But what does remain in place from the 1880s to the mid 1890s is an enormous amount of Black political power centered in the regions where Black people are a sizable majority, end quote. All right. Okay, check out the rest of this article here. This is from history.com, the official website of the History Channel. This is about Hiram Rhodes Revels, the first African-American U.S. senator. The first Black man elected to Congress was nearly blocked from taking his seat. This is by Becky Little for history.com from August 10th, 2018. All right, look, we have to get out of here. If you like this type of information, also, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, or through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. All of our DVD lectures are available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and our digital downloads as well. We have the 8 DVD bundle pack, The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus, The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus. And then also, so it includes a double lecture I did with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans Documented Evidence. He wrote this book here, The First Americans Were Africans Documented Evidence. It includes a double lecture I did with Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, who's in the Hidden Colors documentaries, and some other lectures in there also. Then we have Black Migrations, 1619 to 2019, Black Migrations, 1619 to 2019 is a 6 DVD bundle pack of mine, and it's in digital download format also. And I deal with that 400th year anniversary of August 20th, 1619. We deal with a lot of history in there. There's one dealing with 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. I deal with the Red Summer of 1919. So there's a lot in that bundle pack. Black Migration 1619 to 2019. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win. We'll talk to you Sunday night. Peace.